Nation.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Impact Nation. We appreciate you being here. As always, we are grateful and excited to be with other leaders in the attractions industry. I'm Nathan. We have Frank with us. We also have Matt. And we're here to go deep and discuss the topic of confidence today. And I know Matt has a segment on that. Frank has a segment. We're also going to be bringing up the topic of fear and how that can zap confidence. And then I'll close out the show with a couple of inspirational quotes that are related to our topic today. We love to keep things interactive. So please keep your cameras on. Please be ready to chime in and contribute to the conversation. Impact Nation is all about creating an attraction leaders community where attraction leaders come together to help one another learn, to encourage one another, to build each other up, and to hopefully walk away with better feelings within our heart about what we know we can do for others. And so that's what this is all about. And so today we're going to kick things off with Matt. You're starting us off, right? You're doing our deep dive into the topic today.
I am. Before I start, though, as you mentioned, we like to be interactive. So I'd love to hear some introductions from people that are on the call. Nathan, you already mentioned that you're Nathan. I'm Matt. Frank is over there as well. Super excited to have all of you here today. But we've also got some amazing people in our community. So I'm going to turn it over to them to just say a quick hello and where you're from and what you do. So I'm going to start off with Kim. Kim, why don't you say a quick hello?
Hello, I'm Kim Welch.
And what do you do?
Yeah, I'm in software. Last year, I launched a software company called Welcome Hub to better ticket delivery and e-commerce and ticketing. I've been doing this for about 20 years now, total. So figured it was time to start my own thing and help more people.
Excellent. Excellent. Now you get to pick who goes next.
All right, Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I
I'm
work
Natalie.
It's okay. I work in membership at IAPA.
Excellent. Excellent. And how long have you been with IAPA?
It'll be 2 years.
Nice. Very nice. All right.
Yeah.
You get to pick who goes next.
Oh gosh. Cynthia.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia. I am the Director of Human Resources at Santa Cruz Seaside Company in California, best known for the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk.
Excellent. Love it out there. And we've got one person left. I'm guessing Tony is going to be next. Used to be out at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, but now is someplace else.
That's right. My name's Tony Sanders. I'm the general manager for Old Tucson in Tucson, Arizona. And I've been in the amusement industry this year, 34 years
Wow.
this year. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. Well, thank you everybody for sharing that. Took some confidence to state who you are and what you do and how long you've been in the industry. So I really appreciate that. As Nathan said, we're going to dive deep into confidence, and I get to focus on introspection. So there's 3 pillars that we focus on within Impact Nation, and I get to focus on introspection, which I think is a really great place to start as we start to think about confidence. Because when you talk to people all over the globe and they say, what do you need to work on? So many people say, well, I need to be more confident in certain situations. I need to build up how I can speak to people and things of that nature. And I think what we're going to find as we dive into this is that there's different kinds of confidence. I think there's different situations where you may be really, really confident, and then other situations where you may not be confident. We're going to look at the definition of confidence, and we're also going to take some inspiration from a children's book. Yes, The Kid with Confidence. This is going to be super fun. So I wanted to start off by telling a quick story about how I came to recognize that there are different types of confidence. And maybe not recognize is the right word, but really, it really stuck with me in terms of the dynamics of confidence. I was hired by a company about a year ago to work with one of their leaders, and the owner of the company said, "Here's a leader that we have. She's really good at the tasks of her job, but she's not very confident. She really needs to work on her confidence." And the owner said, "I want you to work with her to help her build her confidence." And what I realized through the work that we did together, through the conversations that we had, it wasn't that she wasn't confident, but she had a different, her confidence looked different than his confidence. So when you think about the owner, he's very much of a bold risk taker, and he looks at confidence almost like Superman standing there with his hands on his hips, and he's ready to take on any challenge. Really quick decision maker, that type of thing. But when you spoke to the general manager of their location, she had a very quiet confidence. She was very thoughtful. She was very process oriented. Nathan and I were talking about that just before we started recording. But she was very process driven. And her confidence came from analyzing a situation. It came from really being thoughtful and empathetic to the people around her. So after a number of sessions together, I said, we've got to get back together with your boss because we have a different conversation to have. It's not that you're not confident, but your confidence looks a lot different than his. And to me, that really solidifies the fact that one person may have a certain amount of confidence in a certain situation, and it's going to look a certain way, but we can't assume that that's how all confidence looks. So if there are people that are bold and outgoing, that's going to look a certain way. You see somebody maybe standing up on stage and like, how can they talk to 1,000 people? That takes a lot of confidence. And it might. And maybe that's how they demonstrate their confidence, but other people are going to approach this a little bit more, maybe more thoughtfully, or it's more of a quiet confidence. So I want you to be thinking about that, thinking, as we talk about introspection, thinking about where your confidence comes from and really how it shows up. And with that, I want to talk a little bit about the definition of confidence, because I think it's important for us to recognize what this word means and then how it affects us. And so it's kind of in two parts, and I'd love to kind of share the different parts and get your take on kind of what this says to you and what this means to you. So here's the definition of confidence, at least one of them. Of course, you can Google confidence and get 1,000 different definitions. This is the one that I think works best for our conversation today. So confidence, it's the consciousness of one's own power or of reliance on one's circumstance. So I'm going to say that again. Confidence is the consciousness of one's own power or of reliance on one's circumstances. So I want to break that down and talk a little bit about it. So let's talk about that first part first. And again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Consciousness of one's own power. So before I get to, kind of share a little bit of my thoughts, I would love to hear your thoughts just of that couple of words, that confidence is a consciousness of one's own power. What does that mean to you? Yeah, Natoli, take it away. You've got it.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind is before IAPA, I worked in guest services at Universal for almost 3 years, and they always honed into us. You have the power. You have the power to turn a guest day around. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind, whether it be, a kid dropped their ice cream and spilled it all over their brand new Spider-Man hoodie, and you got to go take them to the store and get a new hoodie, or whatever it may be to kind of turn that guest day around. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
And it's so interesting you say that they kept saying that, they reiterated it, that, right? Because somebody working in guest services, maybe you don't know that you have the power. And I think we see that with leaders a lot of times, is they're in a situation where they may feel like they should go a certain direction, but they don't know that they have the power to do that. So I think being aware and being conscious of that power is really critical. Any other kind of thoughts or impressions of that? And Nathan and Frank, I'd love for you to chime in as well.
I was going to share that, and not actually, this was Nathan came and spoke at Ride Camp one year, and he was talking about crew members and leaders need to understand that they have the autonomy to make that decision to be kind, because it kind of goes back to the situation that she just said. in order for you to truly turn that guest day around, you need to understand that you have the authority and autonomy to go and replace that ice cream and to go and get them a new guest meal because a seagull came and grabbed it out of their hand. But sometimes if you do not empower them in a way that they understand, this is not something that you need my permission to do. I want you to do it without thinking. It kind of has this negative situation going on when the whole time you had the power to change it. So I think, talking about introspective leadership, when we are talking to and training and dealing with our crew members, we need to make sure that they understand in this area you can do. Just be and challenge that. When's the last time you've made a guest day better? Because in our industry, things happen every single day. We see thousands of people within 7 days. So you're going to come into contact to interact with somebody that's not having a magical or amazing day. What did you do about that? So having those conversations and being introspective as a leader, I think will truly help to move that needle along even greater.
I love that, Frank. Thank you. Thank you. Tony, you had unmuted. Would you want to share something?
Yeah, well, what you just said, Frank, was my philosophy is empower. Just have them do it. Don't have them think about it. I love that. But how do our words or what we say, and it's not that we're using power, but how are our words as leaders and what we say and what we do affect that confidence of others and the reality of that? I don't know. I had a little situation with something like that recently, so it made me think of that in relation to what we were talking about. But yeah, and then I maybe have another question for later, but maybe to think about it is what happens when something or someone else influences your confidence because of their position of power or their position of confidence or influence, So I don't know. Maybe a later question.
Well, Tony, I love that you brought that up because that's kind of what I was thinking of when Frank was talking about empowerment, because I know I've been in situations where somebody says you're empowered to do it, but their actions don't align with their words, right? And they may be saying you're empowered, but maybe there's a process that's in the way, or there's other actions that they're saying you're really not empowered to do that. If I replace the ice cream because it got all over the Spider-Man hoodie and then I get my hand slapped for replacing the ice cream, I'm not empowered. I'm really not. And that does go back to my confidence level, right? Recognizing the power that I have. So I think there's a huge relationship there. And I also believe, to your point, Tony, that as leaders, we have to recognize our power to have influence over other people's confidence and power as well, and their ability to recognize that in themselves. So love that. Love that. I'd love to kind of step into the next part of this because I think that's
Matt,
go ahead,
one other quick question, because oftentimes in this category, it's sometimes the term is used like, oh, we need to give our people freedom to accomplish this, freedom to execute. And Frank was quoting the way that I address it is like, it's not just about telling them where their freedom is. It's also telling them where the parameters are, where the guardrails are. Like Natoli, in your example, like I was at Universal several months ago and a situation happened where my son was in a gift shop and he was walking past a wall and there was a door coming out where a team member came out of the door. And so they kind of like crossed paths right at the corner and he clocked my son in the head with his like aluminum water bottle. And my son was like, and I'm like, it's okay. He's fine. He's fine. The person felt real bad, but he's like, can I get you guys ice cream? And we're like, sure. Thank you so much. He's like, I feel so bad. Came around the corner, went up to the register. And as he's like chalking it up, like, okay, one for you, one for you, one for you. And then they had this exchange over the dollar amount limitation where they said without manager approval, any team member can get X number of dollars for food and beverage and X number of dollars for retail or clothing or whatever. In your example, that Spider-Man hoodie. And so now you aren't just saying, hey, you have the freedom to do whatever, where people are going to bring in, like, they might feel confident, hey, I can do something, but then they're fearful that they might step over the line because they don't know where the line is.
Yeah.
And so giving people the authority, the autonomy, and the ability to be kind 100%, let them know where they stand. So they're like, oh, where's my freedom? It's all in this area. So I don't even have to worry about that other area. And so then I don't have to keep going to my manager being like, well, is this okay? I mean, I'm getting the standard ice cream, but are they allowed sprinkles? I don't want to go too far, or like turn around and get in trouble for it. Like, that's a horrible experience because you're trying to be helpful. So
yeah, absolutely. I had a colleague who kind of abused our giving guests single attraction passes if something were to happen, like in the queue or whatnot. So because that one team member was abusing it, we kind of did start to get limited on how many single attraction passes we could hand out and stuff like that. Where it used to be just, you have the power, do what you feel you need to do.
Yeah, and that's great, but give them the toolkit to do so, right? We can't just have it in our imagination of like, whatever you feel like, because that doesn't feel good. That's not freeing. Like, if my wife is like, hey, we're about to go on vacation, I want to buy some new clothes, I'm like, go on a shopping spree, spend whatever you want. She's like, not going to feel good about it. She's going to be like, ah. But if I'm like, okay, you know what? Well, what do you think is reasonable to spend? Yes, go with that. Then she's like, okay, great. We can stay within that. My wife loves budgets, and I do too. So anyway.
Yeah.
Some of you might be like, whoa, Nathan's so strict. No. It builds her confidence. If we stay within our budget, she likes that security of knowing those parameters.
Well,
Sorry,
and
Matt, to go on a tangent, but
It's okay. No, I
we're
appreciate
going to
it.
talk about fear and confidence, and I feel that that's a flip side to that same coin.
I appreciate that because I think what also builds confidence, especially for team members who haven't been in those situations before, is giving them some suggestions, giving them some ideas.
Totally.
Like if you say do whatever you think is right, like I'm a brand new ride operator, I have no idea what's right. So giving people sort of a checklist of here are some of the things that have worked in the past. Try those, and then maybe as you go through that, your confidence builds, and then you can suggest other things. I definitely think there's a process there that we need to put some money in the tip jar, if you will. We got to seed the tip jar for people as well. So no, I love the tangents. Love the tangents.
That was one of my APA talks last year. Was I created that great thing, so I laid that out and put it in the location. So it's like, here's the ways that you can do this. Now, yeah, they can come up with their own cool ways or whatever, but it was like, here's the things that you can do. And it kind of just lays it out that it's right there in front of their face every day they walk into the thing. It's just reminding them.
Yeah. Well, and I think that reminding, and back to Natoli's point, that builds confidence too. Like hearing the same thing, the same message over and over again, I think builds confidence. So with that, let's go to that second part of the definition where we talk about reliance on one's circumstance. So again, to me, the recognizing the power within, that's really about internal. But then there's also this other part of reliance on one's circumstance, or even the things that are happening around you. So I'd love to hear any thoughts or reflections on that people have.
Well, that exactly ties in with this idea of equipping your people to know what's available to them, know what that toolkit looks like. So that's their circumstances, right? Like, oh, there's a problem. To quote Vanilla Ice, yo, there's a problem. I'll solve it, right? I can see the tools I have available to me. So my environment is supporting me. I'm not out here alone. I'm not out here like on a desert island and need to be like Castaway or MacGyver and like build my own solutions or my own contraptions in order to solve this. And you don't have to like in a stressful situation sometimes, or when you are called upon to think quickly and jump into action, you don't have to stop and say, "Ooh, what can I build?" You become like Batman, who just magically has a full utility belt and like, hey, I'm in a surf competition, no problem. Sharks are coming, no problem. I have shark repellent in my utility belt.
Doesn't everybody have shark
No.
repellent
Yes.
all the time?
Too many times it's like, get out there, you can do it, do what's in your heart, like be true to yourself without any equipping.
Exactly.
Yeah, natural progression for me from guest services was moving on to our guest accessibility team when Universal rolled out the new IBC CES process. So I was on that inaugural team of deciding who got accommodations and who didn't. So that was a very fine line because of course you want to help the guests, but there are some that are like, well, you don't really need to skip the line for a broken wrist, that sort of thing. Like you still want to help the guest. So it became, well, of course I still want to help you. I might not be able to do this, but how about this instead?
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Go ahead, Tony.
Well, and giving someone the tools is great. I think that's the perfect way to look at it. But what if we have a situation where we've given them the tools, but then they are not allowed to use them? Not the ice cream sprinkles thing, but a controlling method of that. Like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I know I gave you the tools and the power, but you're not doing it. You're not doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I kind of had a situation with one of our staff and their team members where this was kind of happening, where it was, oh, yes, you have the freedom, the power, but I'm not letting you do that just yet. Nope, we're still here. We're still here. We're still here. So anyway, yeah, I think it's great to do that. But if we don't follow up as the leader so.
And that part is super important. And that can lead to the success or detriment of the team, the morale, how that team member's confidence is growing and or stifled. Because to give somebody the tools and then to say you can't use them, then why did you give me these tools? Why do I have this information and I can't use it? And you're going to say, oh, well, you're going to be able to use it eventually, but not yet. And I think you have to be very strategic about if there is a certain amount of time where you don't want people to use these tools yet, don't give it to them. Because once you give them the tool, by nature, curiosity, we want to use it. We want to make a guest day. We want to make another team member's day. I had the pleasure of working for a company called Raising Cane's. And Raising Cane's has this term that they use called lagniappe. And lagniappe, the meaning of lagniappe is a little something extra. And lagniappe was a part of the culture at Raising Cane. It could go crew member to crew member to boss, boss to CEO. If at any point you felt like somebody did something and it just made your day, you could write them a card, give them a gift card, write them a letter, give them a free box combo just to say, hey, like, thank you for doing that. And that was taught on day one, even in fact, as a part of the onboarding process, they literally had to write a card to somebody like, hey, you've been here all day. Who's walked up to you and introduced themselves to you? We're going to write them a card and you're going to and we had them do that. And it was like day one. So for a lot of people, it was kind of a culture shock, for those people who were introverted and wasn't outgoing. But we wanted to let them know right off the bat, this is what is expected of you. And this is what you are allowed to do. So that happened right off the bat. And I love that because it truly set the tone for the standard across the board that, hey, you have these tools and you're allowed to use them at any time.
And we had
Right.
something similar at Universal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so important that if we are going to give people tools, please like be sure that you are good with them using it, because otherwise you start just resenting your people for doing things that they think are good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
or, how many times have we heard like, well, what if people abuse it? Set it up so that it can't be abused. Like if you think that hey, the abuse happens at 12 of these a day. So set up, be like, hey, all right, let's make it 11. Every employee is allowed to do 11 of these a day, so that now we have an agreement of like what we're going to be happy with, rather than like be quietly mad at you for what you think you're doing a great deal, like, I think that, a guest service person would be like, you know what? Today I found 15 people that I was able to make their day. And all of a sudden the leaders are like, oh no, you shouldn't be finding 15 people to make their day, because then we're paying for all those ice creams, or we're paying for all that. Like, so set it up in such a way where people know where the parameters are, because in their effort to make a guest day better, they aren't thinking, you know what, I really want to make the guest day better, and I hope I really make my supervisors or leaders angry with me. Like, let me heap coals of fire upon their head by doing good.
Yeah.
No, they want to please everyone. So set it up in such a way where you aren't going to resent them, where you're going to let them do it, and you're going to celebrate that they're doing it to the limitations that they're doing it with.
Yeah. One of the things that pops to mind, Nathan, as you're saying that, is some of those the circumstances that are around are also circumstances that you've been in before, and maybe it's a habit or something that's now affecting the way you're doing things now. And it reminds me of something when I was at Universal and I was interacting with somebody from guest services, and they said, we're actually having trouble with our team members giving away appropriate refunds when a refund is needed, right? When it's appropriate, when it's the right thing. Mm-hmm. And the person I was talking to said, my advice or my direction to the folks was, it's not your money. Like, this is Universal's money. They want to protect it so much.
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, like, if it's an appropriate reason to give that refund, give the refund. Like, that money is not coming out of your pocket. But there was such a level of protection that they wanted to have over the company and the assets that they were like not giving away the refunds at the right time. So I think, again, that combination of personal power that we recognize that we have, plus the circumstances around us, really do define how confident we can be in a certain situation, and again, how that shows up. So thank you all
quick
for
comment to that. Like, then make sure it also reflects in your metrics. Like that topic of refunds, I'm sure there's a metric that's like, can we reduce the amount of refunds that we're giving because it's, harming the bottom line or whatever. Okay, well, piece out the appropriate ones, and then look at, like, piece out the ones that are inappropriate and say, let's reduce the inappropriate ones. The appropriate ones, we don't want to punish people for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
That we're taken out of the bucket, so that when we report on things, we aren't like, oh, this is really bad, but keep doing the right thing. But it's really bad when we talk about the numbers. Like, make it make sense across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, I don't remember the exact number anymore, but if it was a refund over a certain amount, we would have to get manager approval regardless. And then we would have what we call cases in guest services. So we'd have to, thoroughly document what was going on, what happened, what the guest said, what our, answer was, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's just good business, right? To figure out where those parameters are and where those metrics are. So, again, I was just about to say thank you, everybody, for that discussion on the definition. And now I want to be respectful of the time that, we're giving to Frank and Nathan, but I also did want to share a tool that comes from the Kid with Confidence, because the way that he structures this book, it's all about different kids that have things that they want to do, whether it's a drummer or a ballerina or it's a an artist. And this tool that he shares is so cool because it can work with children, it can work with adults, it can work with anybody. So I wanted to share this tool and give you a minute to reflect on it. And the tool is simply this: to take a deep breath and say, it's okay, I'm going to try something new today. It's okay, I'm going to try something new today. So from a personal perspective, think about something that you want to try or something you've been wanting to try. Is there something that you've been, and could even be something that you've tried and didn't go well, but you want to retry it, you want to revisit it. So I'm curious if anybody has something that, is kind of on their minds of when you say, it's okay, I want to try something new today. What would that new thing be? Does anybody have an example?
I was thinking about doing some improv.
Okay. Yes, and.
Yeah. So there's like a local theater that does that. Just, I mean, me for a while, I think I could do that well. So I think I already have confidence in it. But until you actually stand up on that stage and you do it, you may not think that your confidence may be questioned until you actually step up there. So I was actually going to try to find people to play a role that we have for Halloween, some fast talking insult comics, but I may go do it myself, like go and experience it. So yeah.
Sure. No, Tony, that's great. And again, it's something new that you haven't done, but you've got enough confidence in like public speaking and being in front of other people that that part is going to be okay. It's just learning that new skill.
You have to think on your feet so fast.
Yes.
If not, you're the slow, methodical, not as fast, improver. So
It gets you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anybody else have one? Natoli, go ahead.
Similar to that, IAPA just started Max Glort, as you know, is very persuasive. So we just started a new Taskmasters or Toastmasters group. So public speaking. So kind of improv because there's a part of it where you kind of have to be on your feet, but also scripted. So I did join that. And recently for our team bonding outing, we went curling. Let me tell you, it's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah. That's awesome. Kim, you had unmuted as well.
Yeah, it's not today or in the future, but just this past month, I'd been thinking about volunteering at a local art gallery for quite some time now and decided I actually have some time available now that I have my own business. I can make my own hours and went for it, and like every Thursday now I go in and volunteer. So having worked in IT and behind a computer screen, supporting teams like guest services teams and IT and stuff like that, I haven't directly had a lot of guest interaction. Whereas like I look at digital experience, so I like review videos and it's all third party interactions. So just getting out there and getting in front of people at a welcome desk at a local art gallery has been really good for me. So I finally
Awesome.
just did it and I have to take calls and answer questions and it's interesting.
And I'm sure it's expanded your comfort zone.
Yes.
Yes. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Kim. I appreciate it. Cynthia, you've unmuted.
Yeah, so where this resonates with me right now is that we have spring break going on at the boardwalk and we have admin week. So a lot of folks who are normally in admin roles like myself are getting out of the office and signed up for shifts so that we work in the park. And so, in the last couple days, just seeing everybody out who's, whether it's payroll, accounting, marketing, HR, even director of safety and security, the head of maintenance, seeing us all out in the park and experiencing elements of the park that we don't normally or interact with on a daily basis and trying something new has been exciting. I got to work at Pretzel location yesterday and was interacting with guests, and it just brings everything, full circle. In HR, our goal and our mission is to support the team members who are supporting the guest experience and to put yourself in the position of being in the guest experience. It's not my first time growing up in the food industry. I definitely knew that experience, but to be reminded of it was refreshing and exciting and exhilarating. And you're doing it with a bunch of your colleagues and coworkers, and you're also getting respect at the same time. So that's how this resonated with me right now, is just seeing all of our admin folks out in the park doing things that they aren't normally doing and trying different things, whether it's operating the carousel or operating the dipper. It's exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Cynthia. And that actually goes back to one thing that I think goes into the discussion of our circumstances is if you have confidence in the people around you, that can really raise your confidence level as well. So thank you so much, Cynthia, for sharing that. And just remember that, when you have something that you're nervous about doing, you can use that tool. It's okay. I'm going to try something new today, and that can help build your confidence. So with that, I will turn it over to Frank.
So thank you so much, Matt. That conversation has been amazing and it's very rejuvenating. And talking about confidence, I think we would be remiss to not talk about kind of the opposite or the antithesis of confidence, which is fear. A lot of people, one could argue that it's failing. That's that would be the antithesis, and that's probably one of them. But most of the time, it's fear. Fear is that thing that keeps us from moving in confidence, having confidence, and staying confident. So during this innovative section of our episode today, I really would like for everybody on the call to take just a few minutes and to very, very introspectively and very intentionally think about what fear do you have today as it relates to confidence, as it relates to something that maybe you've been thinking about doing. What is one fear that you have today? Maybe it's fear of making the wrong call. Maybe it's fear of confrontation and conflict. I want you to think about what is that one fear, and I want you to write it down. Don't judge it. Do not judge it. I just want you to think about what it is, the first thing that comes to your mind, and I just want you to write it down. What's one fear that you have today? And once you have that, just kind of look up at me, and then I'll move on to the next part. And just remember, as you're writing, as you're thinking, don't judge it. This is the time where you want to be vulnerable and just write that fear. Just write it down. All right, I'm seeing some faces, which is great. Just wait a little bit longer. Seeing some more faces.
I'm looking at you, Frank.
I see you. Okay, so now that you've written that fear down, I want to take you guys through an exercise called Fear to Fuel. And we're going to do this together. So the purpose of this exercise is to teach you and empower you on how to take that fear and turn it into fuel. So what you're going to do is you're going to consider what this fear is. And I'm going to share mine and I'm going to show you how it goes. And so what you're going to do is you're going to say out loud, because I fear this, whatever your fear is, I will now lead with whatever you're going to do. So for example, for me, because I fear over talking in meetings, I will lead with being intentional about pausing and giving everybody space in meetings. So that is how you're going to do that. So I want you to just take a couple of more seconds and think about what that fear is, think about the practicality of it, and see how we can turn it around into fuel. Because most of the time, our fears come because we're not prepared to deal with it and to handle it. A lot of people who fear public speaking, it isn't necessarily the speaking itself that people are afraid of. People are afraid of getting tongue twisted. People are afraid of mispronouncing a word. People are afraid of speaking too fast. So I want you to think about, truly think about intently what the actual fear is, and we're going to turn it into fuel. So because I fear this thing, I will now lead with, and then we're going to flip it around. All right. So whenever you're ready, I would love to hear as many as we can. Everybody's, if you don't feel comfortable, that's totally fine. I'm not going to press. But whenever you're ready, just somebody just share what their fear to fuel statement.
Okay. Mine was a lot bigger,
Sure.
maybe, of a fear. I don't know.
Oh,
Go, Tony.
Okay. Because I fear, and this is broken down a couple of ways. I will not, or I am not, will not be, or am not seen as the leader who I think I am,
Mm-hmm.
or that I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's a lot there, right? I'm sorry. I could have broke that down a little bit
Oh,
simpler.
that's good.
It makes
Don't
sense. I
judge it.
think we're
Don't
tracking.
judge it.
Yep.
It's a fear. So I don't know if I have the answer yet of what I will lead with or do.
So let me ask you this question. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're suggesting that you are on a path to becoming or being seen as the leader that you want to be, but you're not there yet. Is that accurate?
Oh, wait. Sorry. I think sometimes what this goes right back to is the confidence in the leadership decisions that I make or that I
Okay.
choose the paths to do, right? So will that affect me in the way that I'm seen as a leader? I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it completely, but
No such thing.
yeah.
So because you're fearing the way that you're seen as a leader. Is that accurate?
I said that as one, and then who I think I am. So that being seen and who I am should not be the same, but it might be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would say to you is when you are in this space and you're thinking about and you're considering how you are seen, how people think of you, what I would say, I would now lead with asking the people you are leading, how do you see me? Because if you get that feedback from them, you will know how to navigate your leadership. And I will tell you that is also can be a fear. You can be afraid to ask people for that true, honest feedback, but the only way that you're truly gonna know is to ask. So I would say one thing that I would encourage that you do is just ask people. And when you ask people, you have to guard yourself in the way that you receive their feedback without judgment because you want to truly know what people believe. Because I'll tell you, when I first started off as a leader, I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. And come to find out, I was not. And it wasn't until I truly started asking people, how do you view me as a leader? What I thought was completely different than how they saw me. So I would ask.
And I ask the team that I have, but it's now above me. It's the ones
them.
above. Yes, yeah.
Ask them as well.
Yeah, no, I try. So
Thank
But
you for sharing,
no,
Tony.
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's
Yeah.
great.
Anybody?
Mine was probably just a lot more complicated.
We're all still
Hopefully
processing.
yours is just like
Tony.
a fear of heights or
Yeah.
fear of
Well, Frank, I'll share. Oh, go ahead, Natoli. You go first.
Mine was I fear needing everyone to like me. So I'm going to just remind myself that not everything is personal.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a critical understanding that you have to have in leadership because we all want to be liked. Like generally speaking, I cannot make overgeneralized statements because I haven't met anybody in the world. In my 39 years of living, I have never met someone that want to be disliked, that have shared with me, yes, I'm a leader and I want to be disliked. So I think that is a very inherent, innate thing that we want people to like us. But I think it's so powerful that you said not everything is personal because it's truly not. Not everything is personal. Sometimes, I used to be the president of the Take Everything Personal Club. If you weren't smiling and
I'm right there with you.
if I wasn't your favorite, I was like, I needed to please you. I was going above and beyond. And I'm like, hey, I'm just not your thing. And that's okay. So I love that you said that because that is a powerful connection to make, especially in leadership for sure.
Mm-hmm.
it's funny. It's like a story where a comedian's like, "Oh, I love doing big arenas, but half the time I'll look down and after I tell a joke, it'll be like one person laughing, but in my mind, it's like everything is there, right? But
Yeah.
they're like, I can't take that personal. So I just have to keep going to the next joke or keep going to the next,
Keep moving for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. If you didn't share, that's totally fine. I want you to use this though. Whatever fear that you have that you're experiencing, I want you to be very intentional over this next week about how can I turn this into fuel to greater my distance and to really go in depth in my leadership because as we all know, fear is false evidence appearing real. And also, fear is not a bad thing. It was built into our bodies to let us know, hey, there is something coming up in this moment that you need to be aware of. I want to show up well. I want to be liked. I want to do a great job. I want my family to be proud. I want my boss to be proud. Or, hey, this car is driving really fast. I probably shouldn't drive in front of it. Let me get into a different lane. So fear is not necessarily a negative thing, but what you do with that information kind of determines how you move that into fuel and then turn that into something that fuels your confidence. So I want you guys to be thinking about that over this week as you are considering confidence, fear, and turn that into fuel. All right. That's all for me. I'm turning it over to Nathan.
All righty, thank you so much. And so I have the wonderful responsibility of tying the two topics together. And so Matt did introspection, where we dove deep into something. Frank did innovation, where he gave you an activity that you can actually put to use. And so my piece of it is inspiration. So a quick couple of thoughts to take with us today. And typically the way we handle this portion of the show is Matt and Frank have not heard these quotes before that I have prepared. And so we're going to get them to react on the spot and also open it up for discussion. And so with the idea of fear, with the idea of confidence and approaching both of those, I got a quote from a very, very deep thinker and philosopher, Papa Bear Berenstein. Okay? From the Berenstain Bears. And the quote is, "It's your imagination that makes the dark scary." It's your imagination that makes the dark scary. So I want Matt and Frank to, we'll kick it off with you two, react to this quote, this inspirational quote, in dealing with confidence and dealing with fear.
Well, I will jump in first. I could not agree with him more that it is your imagination that makes the dark places scary. I also think it's your imagination that gives you the hope that you can do something that's outside of your comfort zone, right? So you can use that. If we go back to Frank's, fear into fuel, you can use that for fuel for anything that you're looking to do. And honestly, it reminds me of another quote by Henry Ford, which is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So it really does go back to your mindset and how you think about things.
I as well agree, and it really gets me to thinking about how much your environment truly matters. Because when you're thinking about something and when you're moving through things, it's really about your lived experience, how you are interpreting what's happening. So it truly is your imagination that makes the dark scary, because at the end of the day, darkness is just the absence of light. Nothing more, nothing less. But maybe, I don't know, you watched a movie or somebody told you a story or you watched the news, and now your brain is making all of these inferences and now you're afraid. So I think that it's important. This quote just leads me to say, be intentional about what you're taking in, what you're receiving, what you're thinking about, and letting swirl around in your head, because that can make the determination of you showing up confident or afraid.
And before we turn it over to more people reacting, I have a supportive quote. Okay. And this is from a Stoic, Seneca. And he said, "He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary." He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. So tying that into that idea of it's your imagination that makes the dark scary, tying it into the idea of what we fear, and that often we are just making up the outcome of what we are fearing before we've even, like Frank, I love that you brought light into this analogy, because no matter what, light always wins. So we have that expression, let's shed some light on the situation. What light defeats darkness every time. Like every time. No matter what, it always wins. So I'd love, Tony, Kim, Natoli, Cynthia, I'd love to have some more reactions to this pairing of quotes here.
And real quick, I don't know, Nathan, if you saw Cynthia's note, can you put those quotes in the chat?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
make sure
I'll
that she
grab
gets
them
those.
and do
Okay.
that.
But it makes me think of an overthinker, someone who overthinks because they start to put the suffering before it's necessary. If you, I gotta think. I'm always thinking about this. I had a good friend who was an overthinker, just overthought all the time, and it was like that fear was always there, that suffering was there before it even happened, and most of the time it didn't happen the way that they thought it would come through. So so it's just we control ourselves, right? We can control what we are pushing through our head. So
I love that you use this quote, Nathan, because it's nostalgic for me. I loved the Bernstein Bears growing up. And I think I remember that episode, or that book, that particular one about the dark. And it also resonates with me as it relates to a quote you shared with us at a leadership retreat recently, which is about negativity filling the void in the dark. And that's something that I've been talking to my team about, is if we're not communicating and we're not giving out as much information as we possibly can, people will make up their own stories and their own thoughts and their own beliefs about what it is that we're, working through or going on, what's going on. And so being maybe over communicative actually could be helpful in those circumstances so that people aren't conjuring up their own thoughts and negativity and fears and concerns. And I'm that overthinker, actually, Tony, that just constantly is overthinking everything. And sometimes I think that that's can be debilitating too, because you're going through all of your thoughts and you're like overthinking things, and that maybe sometimes you're not then outwardly thinking and outwardly speaking on those things because you're internalizing it all.
I actually had this yesterday. I had two employees who were having a disagreement amongst themselves, and one was thinking things about the other person because the other person was not communicating in a timely manner or enough, or over communicating, which is great. They were not doing that. So the perception was, you're trying to hurt me. You're trying to do this. This literally was yesterday, right before I left work. So, of course, I was thinking about that when I went home instead of not thinking. So,
I want to share one final thought as we go to wrap. Oh, Kim, you came off mute though. What would you like to share, please?
I was just gonna say something that I've been working on is taking statements like that, which are great statements, but they are rooted in negativity. And something I've been trying to do more is flip it. So I always like to root something in positivity and go
Awesome.
forward with that. And I'm trying to teach this to my children as well. So if your imagination is what makes the dark scary, your imagination could also make the dark really cool. Or, and you can make it not a scary thing. And then the suffering one is like kind of that ignorance is bliss moment type of thing where it's like the less you know, actually, the less you worry about. Or you know how this is awful, but you know how when you get in car accidents, you're usually hurt more by tensing up rather than being loose and fluid. So like there's some songs that talk about like being like a rubber band and stuff like that. And I'm trying to be more like that and always reframe the positive intentions, or something like Tony, what you were saying with the communication, or like if you want to label someone as what you're perceiving as lazy, just try to label the actual behaviors, because maybe like that person isn't actually lazy, maybe they just take too long to respond, so you're perceiving it as that. So just that reframing of labeling the behaviors for facts instead of what you're feeling about it. That's what I've been trying to do.
I love it. Those are great insights and very helpful. So I want to close off with just one thing that kind of pulls it all together. Okay, whether we're dealing with a fear or confidence, and this is an observation that many psychologists have seen, and why people say to face your fears. And it is when you become brave over one thing, you become braver. Like it's not just that, oh, great, now you aren't afraid of riding roller coasters. It is entirely your character, you, the person, the individual. You have become braver across everything, and you carry that with you. Just like lifting weights. If you get stronger lifting weight, it's not as though like, oh, now I can lift a milk jug, but I can't lift that other object that's a different object but weighs the same. You can lift it all. And so I just want to, as we close out today, want to encourage you, want to inspire you to embrace being able to try something new, being able to embrace flipping your fear into fuel, and also recognizing that if you can face your fears, if you can become braver over one thing, you legitimately have become braver yourself, you as an individual. And we celebrate that, and we're excited about that. All right. Well, we are at time for this episode of Impact Nation. We will be taking this recording and publishing it out so you guys can share this recording with others, especially if you found some elements of this episode to be helpful and you want to share that and encourage others as well. We'll also please pay attention to our Facebook group or on LinkedIn, where we will be announcing our next episodes. Also, if you haven't yet signed up for our email list, please do that, because that's also a great way for us to directly let you know of when we'll either be at events or doing another episode of Impact Nation. Any other announcements, Frank or Matt, to share?
Nope, we're all good.
I think Nathan
right.
did a great job in hosting today. Give him a big snaps and claps for Nathan. Nicely done.
Well, I appreciate all of you. Really, really love and appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you today.
Take care,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Go make an impact.
Impact Nation.